Welcome, brothers. Welcome, sisters. Welcome to our program On Target. As usual, as soon as we start this program, we encourage you to pick up the telephone and give us a call. We never have a subject matter. We speak about anything. Politics, religion, socioeconomic issues, any issue facing you. And I think the most important one is you can change our subject matter and bring up your own topic. We on RealFM 91.9. We on YouTube, Facebook, and Greens News. 442-0175. Gabriela, happy birthday and Godspeed. Yes, brothers and sisters. Today is a significant day. The opposition was responding to the budget this morning. I don't know if the budget debate continue. I know one of the members of the opposition was pleading with the speaker to end the debate because they want to go to the funeral of spaceman. I know the government don't care about that. The government seems to be very insensitive and want to go out of their way so that the opposition members would not have enough time to spend that day with the family and with a man that contributed significantly to the success of the NNP and for sports. I know the opposition do not want to move out of the parliament because the government would round up the debate and they would not have the opportunity to do it. So it has been postponed? Yes, so it is good that at least some good sense come about and the debate will continue. And from here, we'll be joining the funeral of spaceman. An individual, one of the moderates in politics, one of the individuals that is not very controversial, that was not very controversial, and wanted to reach out with everybody, a very inclusive individual. That is very important in a when you have individuals that do not bear grudges, they're not seeking vengeance, they're not too preoccupied with political vengeance, and they work for the good of all. And spaceman could be considered as one of these individuals. While I wait your call, I want to ask this question. What is your position on the statement that morality is a private thing? Over the last 10 years, I've commented on a number of issues I saw emanating from the National Democratic Congress executive, from the nucleus, from the top echelons. A number of philosophical statements, a number of positions that I thought stray away from convention, that was practically divisive and show contempt and disrespect for others. Today, the Prime Minister of Grenada, definition of morality, he said morality is a private thing. When Pandey in Trinidad said politics have a morality of its own, Grenada Prime Minister Tillman Thomas disagreed with it. And he declared he was a Christian soldier for Christ while in the politics. He disagreed with Pandey that you cannot say politics have a morality of its own. I'd really like to hear Mr. Thomas' reaction now ex-Prime Minister of Grenada, Honorable Tillman Thomas. And I'd like to hear his reaction now that the leader of his political party says morality is a private thing. I couldn't believe. I don't understand. So I believe that I want to participate in discussion. And I would like you to discuss this issue. Do you consider morality as a private thing? Every day you believe you cannot hear worse, the NDC come up with another issue. I'm wondering if we're going on this slippery slope fast. From some of the most dismissive and disparaging remarks now associated with the National Democratic Congress, like really good people, like greedy and needy, like nasty people, like classless people. Now the Prime Minister says politics have a morality of its own. If we continue on that trajectory, where are we going? You see, a lot of things that took place in Grenada, a lot of conflicts that went out of hand in Grenada, I believe it went out of hand because a number of people did not intervene. During the 73-74 crisis, we went at a new low, attacking one another. But institutions and individuals in the country who like to claim they're not involved in politics and they're neutral, or they're not taking sides, they pull their sword and they join sides. They was either supporting the Gary faction, the GNP, or the Alliance. During that time, I heard so much dismissive language describing people as dunce, illiterates, stinking Garyites. Those was the common descriptive terms for those people who supported Gary then. Today, the National Democratic Congress seems to full of themselves and full of it and full of these same dismissive language. What is your position on the statement that morality is a private thing? That comes from the Prime Minister of Grenada. I don't know if the Prime Minister considers lying as a private thing too, because he seems to be telling lies with joy. He seems to enjoy it. We have this Somora agreement, and I listen to people put all spin on it. We are not discussing the content of the agreement, you know. Because the first time I believe many Grenadians, including me, heard about this Somora agreement was in the press conference when the Minister of Foreign Affairs expressed his concern that signing the agreement may contradict the Constitution and threaten our sovereignty. That caused me to raise my eyebrow. Coming from the Minister of Finance, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, it must cause eyes to raise and people to concern. The Prime Minister responded that he did not read the agreement. He did not read it. Could you imagine a lawyer The agreement in Grenada since June 19 or July 19th. Yes, caller, welcome.
Yeah, Mr. Pierre.
Yes, my brother.
Yeah, I see the Prime Minister sporting with a marijuana tree. Well, I want to know why they do so much of dumb things. Because I have a friend who they arrest for he's smoking the brand now. They arrest him for going for smoking weed. And Jersey, he tells Jersey does he body and you're smoking because he body. Jersey, you know, whether inside or outside, marijuana is illegal in Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. So how come it's not illegal now? And no arrest to take place, and the man who he had the board in his hand. So I don't know why no arrest to take place. Because as someone told me last night, it was he who posed that they were wrong. He had the money already. So I don't know that something had to be.
Yes, scholar. Yes, scholar. And while the Prime Minister is doing these things, and while the Prime Minister is saying these things, a lot of Grenadians shut them out. And that's why I say during the crisis in Gary days, people, rather than the people who like to claim the objective, and they ain't taking side, they pull their sword and they join the crowd. In 1983, I'm absolutely certain both fractions, Maurice Bishop and the Code fraction, were praying. None of them believe in God. But at that point they were praying. Somebody in Grenada could have intervened to stop the bloodshed. When the Code fraction contacted the Bishop fraction and asked for community dialogue, Bishop fraction responded through Vince Noel that they should report to the nearest police station. He called the name of Bernard Code, Ewart Lane, I think Liam James, I can't remember all the others. And he said, report to the nearest police station. Bishop said the revolution will continue, but not with everybody. Bishop evoked the Angola option. And anyone who knew about the history of that struggle, and any revolutionary in Grenada then would have known what was the implication of the Angola option. Members in the trade union movement, lawyers, and other individuals in civil groups in Grenada knew about the Angola option. Unless men were revolutionary, reading Karl Marx and etc. There was no one in Grenada to intervene. Today we're going on another slippery slope. The Prime Minister of Grenada attempt to delve in the occult when he was trying to evoke Maurice Bishop's spirit. There are no God thing in that. Maurice Bishop did not believe in religion. Marxists, Leninists, and socialists, they claim that religion is the opium of the people. So anytime, any attempt to evoke Maurice Bishop's spirit was delving in the occult. The Prime Minister seems to develop the culture of lying with impunity. Now he says morality is a private thing. I've not heard the institutions in our country that always want to command respect because they are well certificated people. They have a briefcase of certificate. And people respect them. The trade union, I've not heard the trade union leaders squeak. I've not heard the Chamber of Commerce or the private sector organization express their concern on restorative justice. I've not heard the Bar Association. Deacon Mitchell is a colleague are those in the bar. I've not heard any one of them said anything. No deacon strengthen it. Morality is a private thing. Saying in no and expressing the view that is not the church business. That church and state is separate. And it's all about the law. So where is ethics? Where is morality? Where is common decency? If morality is a private thing, the police and all should be concerned. If you hear children or woman in a house bawling, as if the man beating them up, you've been telling the public to call, show concern. The Prime Minister of Grenada says morality is a private thing. Yes, scholar.
Yes, Mr. Pierre, good afternoon, sir.
Yes, my brother.
Yes, you see, dabbling in the occult is an extremely dangerous thing. And people always get more than what they bargain for. It is quite evident that this Prime Minister is possessed by a lying spirit, right? Because it seems as though he can't help it, that every time he opens his mouth, he lies. And remember that the scripture tells us that Satan is the father of lies. And whenever he speaks a lie, for there is no truth in him. So, I'm sorry for him. He needs to repent and maybe get one of his pastor friends to see how they could cast out that demon from him. Have a good day, sir.
Yes, in these circumstances, I believe that institutions is able to help to preserve our democracy. The Bar Association could nudge, or quietly encourage Deacon to discontinue the lies that he tells. The opposition leader in St. Lucia, he said the man is naive. Go in St. Lucia and he telling lies. You want to tell me that a lawyer, you have a document of that magnitude, of that impact, of that capacity in Grenada since July 19. You want to tell me a lawyer for a prime minister say he did not read the document? And the Minister of Foreign Affairs read the document. He studied the document. And he expressed his concern publicly of the signing the document would contravene or contradict the Constitution. And it could threaten sovereignty. Well, what happened? The foreign minister never expressed that to the prime minister. The foreign minister don't talk to the prime minister. It doesn't appear so to us. The creature was so concerned about the apparel, the demeanor, the dress of the foreign minister that he was palpating his tie. What went wrong that the foreign minister would not have informed the prime minister of a document of so invaluable and important? Yes, scholar, welcome.
Mr. Pierre, good afternoon.
Yes, my brother.
I hear you use a word there. I really cannot put it properly. Morality. And
morality.
And I'm wondering, because I wonder if this government has plenty morality, a good morality.
They say it's a private thing.
Yeah, but if it's a private thing, how come you just use your powers to give every civil servant a monetarium for their work, and at the same breath, the same minister of finance is saying that the people in the public service need to buck up themselves. They're not working. So where is the morality?
That have nothing to do with it. You say morality is private. You know how they say?
But how that could be private if he doing it for the
The
nation?
Prime Minister say morality is a private thing. You know how they say what happened in the bedroom must stay in the bedroom? That is what the Prime Minister of Grenada is saying.
And every time you go to church, the priest telling you pray for the government and the Prime Minister and the Queen.
The Prime Minister said the church don't have nothing to do with this thing.
So somebody lying for me or fooling me
Well,
with this morality thing.
The church must believe that. But remember, the communists say the church is the opium of the people. The coke are the weed of the people.
So I get into do understand what morality really means.
Well,
because in one breath you saying yes, in one breath you saying no. I hope when the negotiations start for increasing pay for civil servants, I hope that morality will come in that time.
Don't bother about that. Normally,
I really hope because I hope that when the unions ask for an increase, you would have common sense to tell them, because the union looking at I'm not against giving people increase, but let us hope that negotiations from now run smooth.
The unions,
and whatever the union asks for will be given.
Caller, the unions always in very good relationship with the NDC. Always. If you go back in history, the GNP and the NDC and the unions always one and the same. The only party that have serious issue with trade union in Grenada was GOLP and NNP, not the NDC.
But you see, that making me don't understand what morality means, because I mean, in one breath you hear the praising, in one breath you take it. I mean, I have no problem if people work and they need increase up here, or the management see that they deserve increase, give them. But don't play the game around, because there comes that time when you have to have negotiation, and the union will be asking, and the government will be backsliding.
Caller, you might be shocked that over the next couple of years, the government and the union, I don't expect much hiccup from them. They all one and the same. What we need to do is to find out from the unions if they believe that morality is a private thing.
Well, I don't hear much of the union leaders speaking.
Well, that's why I tell you they're sleeping in bed with the government.
The union leaders are
they're discussing the morality while they're in bed. They say nothing.
All right.
Yes,
but it's something to look at.
We must continue the discussion.
Yes.
If we know homes.
But I think when people work and they deserve increase, nothing wrong in giving them.
Yeah.
But you mustn't give it because of that now and tomorrow.
Caller, I think the reason why the government gave these increases is because the government want a cover for them taking the massive increase. And as a result of that, they know they had to give some other people increases to cover the track.
Mr. Tillman Thomas had told Mr. Chester Humphrey to join the union, the government, and Chester Humphrey told him if he will make conditions favorable and well for his union, and he told him yes, and you would know what happened with Mr. Chester Humphrey.
The union say, Chess, you encourage us to vote out with job.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, scholar. So I believe the Bar Association, this is the closest individuals to our Prime Minister. Because the only quality that we heard preceded the Prime Minister, he have deep pockets and contacts. I assume that contacts mean you have a lot of clout with the legal fraternity. So I want to know from this Bar Association, what is your take on morality being a private thing? I've not heard you when Deacon declared restorative justice. We did not hear you when Maurice Bishop jailed over 3,000 Grenadians, castrated people, take target practice on Mikey Foot and the investigation into the death of the sister from Bodgove. I forgot her name. Somebody call me and tell me if you remember. The Bar Association stayed silent. Even when Tillman Thomas and Lloyd Noel was jailed. And don't talk about the women who went in jail. You know. We don't have women yet with enough guts that want to say what happened to them publicly. I've held discussion with some, but they cannot tolerate this information coming public. So we're not talking about them women yet. Even Gino, and I'm afraid to talk about what happened to the women that was in jail during the revolution. The Bar Association did nothing. But these people want people to respect them. And I'm not talking about individual, you know. I'm talking about an association, the bar. The Prime Minister says morality is a private thing. The Prime Minister talk about restorative justice. He said we campaign on a policy of transformation. But it is not so much transformation. It is more restorative justice. The trade union don't say one word. The Chamber of Commerce don't say nothing. The Bar Association did not say anything. St. Jude, my brother Willie, all these individuals and organizations that like to give the impression that they are the custodian of morality, accountability, and good government. They walk around town as if that was a gallad around the neck. No, all of them have absconded into a cocoon. Yes, scholar, welcome.
Mr. Pierre, good
yes,
day.
Yes, my brother, good to hear you.
You listened to the former Prime Minister today?
No, I did not get much chance to listen to him. I'll have to go.
I hear the Prime Minister talking about how they make $500 million in the treasury and the this and the that.
I think it's the NDC that said how much they make, you know. 530 million.
Well, he was in the treasury.
Yeah.
Well, Keith had $530 million in treasury. Why do it? He failed to pay the pension. He failed to pay those people in community college. He failed to do that. The NDC had to come and do it.
Caller.
Yes.
This issue you're saying about fail to pay pension is not true.
It's true.
It's true.
It's true. He failed to pay the pension. He said, he will go so far and say the pension is $1.1 billion because he don't want to pay it. I can't tell me that's true. He failed to do it. And he come and talk about he had money in treasury. He had money in treasury. And he don't do it. The new Prime Minister come and he only pays $70.4 million. That's why they tell him, Mr. Pierre, fools make money and he's a wise man to spend it. The candidates are wise men, so you always spend the money. Mr. Pierre, this Prime Minister, the former Prime Minister, he was there for 9.4 years and he worked with poor and vulnerable people. He worked them for $45 a day for 9.4 years. And he come and talk about the poor and vulnerable. What you know about the poor and vulnerable? He has done nothing for the poor and vulnerable. He worked them for 9.4 years and he don't give them nothing. He worked them for $45 a day. He had the guts to come and talk about the poor and vulnerable. He's just using the poor and vulnerable for political ends, to using their name, but he don't care about them. I could tell that. You can't work on man.
Caller, listen to me now. Caller, listen to me now. I want to hear him. Listen to me now. I always give you opportunity to speak. I believe in that. On many occasions, I don't correct you. Because sometimes I believe, particularly on the pension issue, the trade union and the politician should inform the people. What the Dick Mitchell paid that made the big issue was retroactive payment. The pension issue is like an albatross around our neck. That is what the Minister of Legal Affairs say going to cause serious damage, irreparable damage. When you call any host in a program and they're trying to draw your attention, you must stop and have a conversation. Particularly me, who give you an opportunity to speak. Particularly me, who give you an opportunity to speak. You must kind of reciprocate that level of respect for one another. So if I call and you just want to go ahead, I think we could do better. There are points in times when you're wrong. And I'm giving you an opportunity now to go and correct that. Call Dick Mitchell, any one of the ministers, and ask them if paying the retroactive pay settle the pension issue in Grenada. Ask Dick Mitchell or any member of the NDC or the trade union. Dick Mitchell paid the retroactive pay, and those people that were qualified come on the pension payment. But ask them if that settles the pension issue. Or if the pension issue could be an albatross around our neck. Because it's a constitutional matter. A lot of time I don't correct you. Because a lot of Grenadians don't know. And I blame the NNP, the NDC, and the trade union. But since you're a regular caller, sometimes you have to try to reciprocate. Yes. So the important thing for us is these institutions in the country. If your child going wrong, don't just curse your neighbor. Sometimes it's the neighbor that knows your son going to school with knife. The parents is the last to know. Everybody does know before you. So when your neighbor say your son going with knife, don't curse your neighbor. Call your child. Talk with your child. Thanks the neighbor. Sometimes if the child not hearing you, call the police and tell the police, me child going to school with knife and he don't hear me. It's better the police intervene before your child kills somebody in the school or somebody in the school kill your child. The neighbors must know. I don't agree with the Prime Minister that morality is a private thing. Because we as neighbors must look after one another's interests. Sometimes you have to listen to your neighbor. The parents is the last to know. Your parents must know, your neighbor must know that your daughter has changed her clothes in the school. But you don't know. And because you and your neighbor not on good terms, the only how she could tell you is when she cussing you. We have to change. The Bar Association supposed to tell Deacon, stop tell lies. How come you have a document like the Samoa Agreement? Why the Bar Association was not given a copy of that agreement to read? I see they make ruckus in the previous government. When some document they say wasn't given to them, that had to go to Parliament, something to do with the internet and whatever. They make ruckus. How come a document like that in Grenada since in July, was not given to the Bar Association, and Deacon Mitchell have clout with the lawyers? He have deep contacts with lawyers. Who you got deep contacts with? Lawyers and businessmen he represent. How come the Bar Association permitted Deacon to say morality is a private thing and they didn't take issue with him? Did the Bar Association agree that we need restorative justice? You want the public to respect you. We have to take these people to task. That is what is causing the problem in this country. These people with a briefcase, a certificate, walking around like henchmen in the tongue, and they lack scruple. Deacon must explain to us who gave the authority to sign the Somora agreement. Who gave the ambassador the authority? The Bar Association must ask Deacon. I'm not talking about individual laws. I'm talking about the Bar Association. Because you want people to respect you. Otherwise, you're just a group of bandits that come together. You're worse than those gangs that terrorize people in Trinidad and Jamaica. We don't have gangs in Grenada. The Bar Association are practically the authorities on legal issues in the Caribbean. I noticed when we were having the referendum, even Ruggles Ferguson and Francis Alexis couldn't get the Bar Association to form their opinion. They say they don't trust the legal luminaries or the lawyers in the Caribbean. They prefer those in Europe. But you're going to get a lot of benefit from this government. And you want public to respect you. So if you want the public to respect you, ask Deacon, why is it necessary to initiate restorative justice? Why is it the government established the MIT? That ministry is for political mischief. Yes, scholar, welcome.
Yes, Mr. Pierre, good afternoon, sir.
Yes, my brother.
You know, that budget that was presented on Monday, one might acknowledge that the budget was presented in a very pleasant and fluent way, you might say, or the budget speech, I should say. But what really is inside of the budget, the evidence that are inside of the budget, is serious thing for consideration and concern in this country. You had a prime minister who has all the details in front of him. I'm sorry, the former prime minister, Dr. Kit Mitchell, who has all the details in front of him, pointing out, for example, a deficiency that shows up within the budget that was presented last year for health. Where as much as, was it $25 or $37 million has not been spent from that budgetary allocation. And we have that condition in the health situation, in the healthcare in this country being what it is now. What that actually shows is this guy's inability to execute policies and programs. And on top of that, all the programs that were executed last year, in the last year's budget, were programs that were there already. And to the extent that some of them have not been completed. So obviously, a postmortem on the last budget, not that one that just came from Monday, shows serious deficiency, shows serious inability for them to execute. Because you present $1.5 million, how much dollars, $1 billion, and you did nothing with it, you might say. to talk about, because you don't see anything in Grenada that indicate very much what is going on. I was so happy to hear the former Prime Minister today point out what really happened with that so-called report we had from the IMF about 2 weeks ago, or 3 weeks by now maybe. When I heard the report from the IMF, or what the news present as a report, I said, well, this guy, the guy who came here to investigate the economic state of Grenada on the behalf of the IMF, he don't know what's going on in Grenada. Because you look at it and it's almost nothing, but there he was praising. Only to hear the Prime Minister say, the former Prime Minister say today, that in the next few months, somewhere around the middle of the term, of the year, or the first quarter, I think he said, which is about 4 months from now, or 5 months from now, we could say, the IMF will be coming back here to do a detailed report, where during which time they would talk to various stakeholders in the country, the private sector, the NGOs, the opposition, government official, or they're getting statistics from the government departments and this type of thing, which would give a clearer or the precise indicator of what actually is going on. And I don't guarantee for 1 second right now that the report would sound good in the end. They would have collected a whole lot of money based on increased taxes that they gave, or that they put from the last budget, like on water, electricity, all this kind of a thing, etc., because people are boiling over electricity every day. The electricity bills that nobody understands in Grenada nowadays. You have the increased tax again back on gas, gasoline, and so on, and all this kind of products in them. So the government would have been collecting a lot of money, but in the process, what has been done with it? Serious deficiency are showing up.
Yeah.
When, for example, the IMF gentleman, or the reporter, I might say, for the IMF, say that that $5 million project that is going on the fort is like a big investment, a big development. That is pittance compared to the kind of investment that has been going on for years before. What is going on the port there, on the fort there? How much people have up there? How much people are benefiting from that? It doesn't spread across the island. It doesn't spread across the economy. There's hardly any project going on. So don't come and tell me anything about IMF report making sense, what I heard there. And based on the light that the former Prime Minister turned it today, I become more convinced that I was right when I heard what was said about the state of Grenada economy coming from the IMF. That the guy, or whoever you might say, they don't see the picture properly. Something was wrong.
Yeah.
So we're going to get a better picture later on. Look out for it. Take care.
Yes, and I believe that throughout the year, there are a number of issues that I will take with the budget. At this time, I leave it to the others. But I just say that there is a clear line of demarcation. As the budget is presented and you listen to it, and you start to look at the estimates, there is a clear line of demarcation that separates the disadvantaged and the lower income group. And I realize how much the government has mauled vulnerable and poor. So normally I don't use these words readily. I like to say low income. And I quantify what I mean by low income. If you're making under $3,000 a month, you're vulnerable, you're poor, you're marginalized, and you need help. I don't even care if you have a car. You have some people with car, they can't buy gas. Yes, caller, welcome.
Good afternoon, Mr. Pierre.
Yes, my brother, welcome.
Yeah, Mr. Pierre, listening to the rebuttal by his opposition, His Majesty's opposition this morning, he was on point. But you know what gathered in my mind? I keep saying this NDC is dangerous and deceptive. Now, who's the Minister of Finance in Grenada right now?
Dennis Cornwall.
Right. So if Dr. Mitchell is responding to the Minister of Finance, why is there the Prime Minister office putting up a picture with himself and Dr. Mitchell as if Dr. Mitchell is responding to him? Dr. Mitchell is responding. Yeah. Dr. Mitchell responding to the Minister of Finance. You responding to the budget. the Prime Minister will have his time as a minister for his ministry to do his thing, his deliberations. That shows you the deception. Simple things like that, Mr. Pierre, we have to look at. Because it's looking like if Dr. Mitchell is going against Deacon Mitchell, he's not. He's answering to the Minister of Finance, and so it was in the past, and so it was in the beginning. With Parliament, you respond to the Minister of Finance. So like I said, these little things, these pictures, people don't think and see what's happening. All they're fascinated with is Deacon Mitchell. And lo and behold, they cut to go to the funeral today, and Deacon didn't speak as yet. Honorable Prime Minister don't speak as yet, right? I don't really want to hear the Prime Minister. I want to hear the Minister of Finance, because he's the person that presented the budget. Deacon had the chance already. You understand what I'm saying, Mr. Pierre? We placating these games too much, and this government is getting a free pass with every and any little thing that they do, and they seems to be doing it willingly, and like I keep saying, deceptively. They have to stop this nonsense. And to the Honorable AG, Minister of Legal Affairs, Claudette Joseph, don't go down that path. Because I looked at the press conference, well, listen to it, right? And I happened to look at it afterwards. And you can clearly see in that press conference, her body tone, it wasn't, he's saying something about the Samoa movement, and she wasn't really too confident that she was reliably informed by people that her predecessors before was in the knowing of the Samoa agreement since 2021 and 2019 and what have you. The deception in these people's voices.
You let them
also
let them go down any path they want and take them on the path they go down.
Yeah, but and come on, and people listening to these people and to give a good answer and they would don't talk about that. Right, Mr. Pierre, we have to come to the reality that what is happening right now is not normal. This is not normal. And for the last 9.5 years, as the caller rightly say, NMP was there, right? NMP had no opposition. NMP won election fair and square. I hope they can say NMP won election fair and square, because I remember in 2013 and 18, their mouthpieces were saying, oh, look, Dr. Mitchell was gerrymandering and all kind of things. They were saying all kind of things with votes. Dr. Mitchell went Haiti. You remember all these things, them?
Every time
this is what I'm saying.
Yeah, well, election always free and fair in Grenada.
Exactly. They weren't free and fair. Anytime, you see, what I'm begging of we, the people of Grenada, and some of us who is kind of tech savvy, record the clips that you guys played, have them on little Bluetooth speakers, and when you go to town hall meetings, where they have, go to them and play to them, because they will give you a chance to ask a question. Play these things to them personally and ask them, was this true, or is this true, or is this happening right now?
Well, I feel
because what has happened when you go to their meetings is they boss load of people. They have their meeting, they boss the people in to kind of cut the NMP people and ask a question. And even if you're NMP and ask a question, they will jeer in the crowd. But I will have my time with them, because I recorded everything they say, and that is what I intend to do. I intend to go to their meetings and play the clips. They cannot tell me wrong.
But sometimes it's best to ask the gala people. We have a lot of social media, and I think the public must now put pressure on people to ask questions. You cannot have a bar association, a trade union group, and other people in Grenada that want you to respect them, and they tolerate these issues quietly. I think that's where our challenge is.
And Mr. Pierre, you always saying to be tolerant, but you see, for me personally, there are some people that cannot be tolerant for. This gentleman that keep calling your program every day and disrespecting you.
You see,
and you rightly so correct him today. He needs to have some level of understanding and tolerance. I don't tolerate people like that. I will not be I will not be in the audience of people like that. Oh my God.
My tolerance,
Mr. Pierre, you have a good afternoon.
My tolerance cut short when I'm dealing with Deacon, the ministers, the bar association, the trade unions, and Grenada AFAs. But I'm very tolerant to the ordinary man. Very, very tolerant. I ain't throw them out of the rum shop, so I'm very tolerant to them. My tolerance cut short when the Prime Minister is lying. My tolerance cut short when the Bar Association is supporting these issues. My tolerance cut short when individuals who was posing around as if they are the custodian of morality and good governance, now they're gone in a cocoon. I think that is where our tolerance have to be shot. Not with ordinary individuals that are just trying to defend the party because the party can defend themselves. Yes, the number to call is 4420175, and we may able to take one or two calls. Spaceman funeral it must be in progress now. They have the viewing. And then you would have people participating, eulogy, making their last contribution. Adrian Spaceman, there are a number of Grenadians on both sides of the political fence that I believe tried. And I like when you have a politician that is moderate, that is inclusive, that is tolerant, that have a good relationship with everybody, irrespective of your political persuasion. I tend to hold these people in high esteem. And that is why I constantly challenge the National Democratic Congress for the constant attack and the disrespect they show over the years to politicians they don't agree with. Remember, the NDC tolerated their mouthpiece to call people clowns who was wearing the national colors. They call them clowns. We are celebrating 50 years of independence, and the NDC has fractured this country more than any time post-independence. One could have argued you had a revolution and that is what gone. But the National Democratic Congress have no justification. Even the parliament sitting today was a great act of disrespect. The parliament sitting today was a great act of disrespect. You have a member of parliament, Spaceman, and so much people in the community would speak about him in glowing terms. It was not necessary for the opposition leader to speak today. But the government purposely put it today because they know the funeral is today. If this opposition leader did not turn up, they would have summed up the parliament today. The Prime Minister or the Minister of Finance could have just summed up the parliament and none of the others would have an opportunity to discuss the issue. Yes, caller, welcome.
Good afternoon, Mr. Pierre.
Yes, and use me last caller, so you're taking all the time and you're in the program.
I called basically to talk about that gross disrespect shown by to a former parliamentarian, right, by his fellow colleagues in government. Now, I cannot, in no uncertain terms, can you make an excuse or anything for what happened today, right? Why the Speaker and even the two parliamentary representatives from St. Andrews allowed something like that to happen? And then, you know what? Still, I understand. I didn't hear it myself, but I'll go and listen to it. I understand that the Prime Minister said he didn't know. Nobody didn't inform him. I mean, imagine that. But the disrespect is what I'm concerned about, because they are setting a trend, right, for a lot of foolish things to continue to go on in Parliament. And Grenadians have to understand that. I want to congratulate Dr. Mitchell on a splendid rebuttal, opening the wounds of that budget. It's a festive soul that is there. But he was able, this little time that he had, to basically open up those wounds and show people the rawness, the fester that is going on in this government, the sort of things that they continue to do, right, against poor people, and they don't like to hear that word, the poor and vulnerable, less fortunate. You know, they don't, because they continue to input measures basically to keep people down. I mean, how can they say they have a heart, Mr. Pierre? I don't understand. You know, finally, as I leave, it's something that persons tell me not even to think about. But I want to urge persons up at that funeral today as Brother Spaceman is being given a send-off by his people. Those of them, the parliamentarians, who basically forced this thing to happen, Parliament on that day, when they show up, boo them. Not inside of the church.
No.
You see, because if they can show that disrespect...
But you see, if we go down that route, we're going to destroy this country faster. And that's why I speak about these issues so, because I see what is going on the ground. When you have people saying they're drinking rum so they'll give them money. Well, how much women, even though you say all the men under the seed program drinking rum, what's up with them women? When you had Shirley Robinson, had to call and beg. And when they visit her, they say, what she complaining about? Yeah, people worse than her. When you see how the government is treating the caregivers, we must be tolerant. Otherwise, this country is going to fall up, going to fracture.
Look at how they're treating the police officers.
And I am worried that if the NDC continue with that trajectory unchecked, when the next government come in, how would you stop it? They're going to say you was there all the time. You didn't say anything. The government is victimizing people. When I think about the 31 workers on Granby Estate, when I speak about the women from Karakou, the Prime Minister will say, let her go to court.
Yeah.
The Prime Minister knows these people court, they could pay a lawyer 4,000 or 5,000. The NDC going out of their way to victimize people in the lower income group.
But for what reason, Mr.
Well,
Pierre?
we have to ask this question. Who got them? Who did wrong to Deacon?
You see, if we understand, as you always say, if we understand the policies of these guys, what they set out to do.
Yeah, because they have been listening to the Prince of Hate and the motivational speaker for years. And they consume this hate. And I think it is sad and it's unfortunate, and we have to constantly try to convince them to change their trajectory.
Yeah,
because if they continue like that, you're going to destroy the very fabric of our society.
But one very good thing that you always maintain on your program is the whole question of tolerance and patience.
We must be.
It's so important.
We live through system in dairy excesses, in the revolutionary excesses, and we have tried over the years. The last 9 years, the government really tried to be moderate and inclusive. And we come to the end of the program, and now I'm heading for River Sally. Thank you very much.